Listen, we got thousands of people, what, 5, 6, 7,000 people today? Oh, there's not one politician, not one. Excuse me, where are you? Where are the politicians that should represent us? They have plenty of politicians that represent the left, the mandates, the restrictions, the totalitarian regime. We got a lot of Adolf Hitlers and Goebbels and you know, the Gestapo type of people. However, where are the politicians that represent us? Nowhere to be found. Remember that. Please, Canadians, do not forget that they have not came to your aid when you needed them the most. Remember who was with you all the way and who was not. That's very important to remember the history. In order to build or rebuild a better society, we have to remember who was hurting our children, our families, our businesses, our churches for the past 2 years.
Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Adam Soos here for Rebel News, and we are here in Calgary, Alberta at the Worldwide Rally for Freedom, where hundreds upon hundreds have gathered to protest vaccine mandates. While much of the world is moving on and dropping vaccine mandates, dropping mask requirements, Justin Trudeau is still doing his best impression of a drug salesman, a Pfizer representative. And that's why these people are still coming out week after week to stand up for their rights and to stand up for their freedoms. Well, I'm here with Brian Dennison, the constable who did the right thing, refused to break his oath, and took a stand. You just spoke to this riled up crowd. What's it like up there?
It's unbelievable. The amount of people here is unbelievable on this Freedom Day.
That's incredible. You called for other officers to take a stand, to do the right thing, particularly the police chief. We've seen a notable shift in the police during the start of these protests nearly 2 years ago. Police officers might have been a bit standoffish. Now they're all saying hi, encouraging us, continuing us to support your work and the work of these people here. Do you think that the tide is changing within the police force and within society at large?
I think the tide is changing, and I'm hopeful that other police officers are coming forward. And I noticed as well that there's a lot of them out here smiling, actually having a good time, knowing that the people here are just freedom-loving people, wanting their freedoms back. And with respect to what's happening in the world is changing. You can feel it. This is different this year than it's ever been. And I hope Chief Mark Neufeld, I hope he does change. I hope that morale does come up and gets out of the dismal pits that it's in now, and people enjoy working for the CPS, and that they attract good people to work for them.
A man who needs no introduction, Jesse from Without Papers Pizza. I've seen quite a few people walking around here. They've got that POW pizza representing. How's the day going for you so far?
It's the most wonderful day of my life. I'm living the best apocalypse. There's thousands of people here fighting for freedom. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
And you're providing pizza. How many pizzas have you brought down for folks here?
We brought 100 pizzas down today.
100 pizzas for folks. That's incredible. They were saying that the people here seem so absolutely happy. We've got people across Canada covering the protests, but they said the folks in Alberta are the happiest, and I think maybe the pizza might have something to do with it. What do you think?
I think that the spirit of freedom has more to do with it than the pizza, but I appreciate the plug.
I'm here with Dustin, the owner of Smoke Show Food Truck, one of the few food providers showing up at these rallies and supporting these folks. What brings you out today?
I'm definitely on the same page as everybody else, struggling small business. It's been last couple of years has been pretty tough on us, and we're just trying to survive and make it to the next year. It's been a tough winter, so really happy that the weather's playing out for us today, and we're happy to be out here to support everybody.
Well, hopefully lots of people will come on out and pay him a visit, get some of their incredible food. Maybe, what would you recommend? What's your best thing that people must try?
Everybody's after the tachos or the grilled cheese. We got a lobster grilled cheese and the tachos with their nice house-made blue cheese sauce on there. Everybody goes nuts for it. It's good handheld food, kind of almost carnival-like.
Well, the crowd in Calgary has grown into the thousands here gathered, fighting for their rights and fighting for their freedoms in the Worldwide Rally for Freedom. This is very likely one of the biggest crowds that we have ever seen, and they're making their way through the streets of downtown Calgary. So what brings you out today?
Oh, we're fighting for our freedom.
Right, definitely.
So the world generally seems to be opening up. Some countries are dropping vaccine mandates and mask requirements. How does that make you feel? Do you think the facade is cracking and we might get our freedom back?
I'd really like to be optimistic. I'm still a bit skeptical, but I'm hopeful.
I hope so. I'm over it.
It's going in the right direction. That's definitely the way it's going.
It's a typical decoy. They're just going to change it and change it and change it. So we got to keep fighting, stop getting tested, stop using the passports. It's not gone till it's gone, and it won't be gone for a long time.
And then, despite all of that, we're seeing health officials in Canada, Justin Trudeau, they seem apprehensive or reluctant to open up to make things free. Why do you think that is?
They're scared. Well, they've got a higher agenda, right?
Oh, it's ridiculous. Why Canada? Well, this is a free country. Why Canada? Everywhere else around the world is opening. Why aren't we?
We have a terrible prime minister. That's pretty much
it?
Yeah.
So you say it's a decoy. It's interesting, though. While much of the world is opening up, the Canadian government hasn't at all. They seem to be unrelenting in this pursuit. Why do you think it is that they're so married to this ideology when others, even if it's a decoy, are at least pretending they're going to open up?
I think
They've had 50 years of practice at it. But
I mean, they created this system, and now they're unprepared to walk away from it or acknowledge any doubt or a second look at it. And so it feels like they're just entrenching themselves further, which is disappointing because, as you say, the science, other countries are demonstrating that it doesn't necessarily work going forward. So.
Yet another man who needs no introduction, Pastor Artur Pavlovsky. How are you doing? This is among one of the bigger crowds I think we've seen. What's it like to have all these people out here standing in solidarity?
It's beautiful. I mean, what we see is more and more people are rising up, and that's a beautiful thing. I have been waiting 2 years to see Canadians rising up. I think the lie is being exposed. By the way, thanks to you guys, and more people see what this whole thing is all about. And just like we said at the very beginning, this has nothing to do with health. This has nothing to do with protecting the public. This has everything to do with destroying our economy, with restricting our ability to live our lives. Basically, it's control. That's what it is. They did it to implement totalitarian, globalistic control on the rest of us. And I believe that this was just a test. They're testing the ground and see how different societies will approach what is happening to them. But now we know the stats, we know the data. The data is not, is telling us a totally different story. So I believe it's the money, and I believe that there's dirt. If you look at the Canadian politicians, and remember, I had visitors in my home that told me that 80% of the politicians in Canada are either bribed or blackmailed or both. So I think we have very dirty politicians in our country. They have some dirt on them, and of course they pay them very well to keep us enslaved. However, the whole thing is breaking. We can see it. Now look at this. Those are the real Canadians. Those are the lions and lionesses that finally are coming together and they say enough is enough. When they came for our children, Adam, when the moment they came for our children, they crossed a line that is holy. It's holy. You never touch children. You never touch children. They did it and they overkilled it. I think people now know what's going on.
And that's exactly, we just did a live stream where we were talking about that. People became concerned. The numbers grew when they crossed the medical freedom line. But when they went after kids, when they took away their recreation, when they took away their childhoods, that crossed the line. Despite all of that, I would say the mood here is very positive. I think people smell freedom in the air. Things are changing. What's your perspective? Do you think that this fight for freedom is starting to have a payoff and we're getting there?
Here, I believe we got them on the run, telling you the truth. I know you don't see that yet, but my arrests, crazy arrests, unnecessary arrests, it looks like we have been pushing. They have been pushing very hard, but now people are pushing even harder, and we scare them. I mean, I truly believe the politicians are terrified of the people. The moment we started to show up outside their homes, we send a message, a very powerful message. We know where you live. And I'm not advocating for any violence. I'm not saying, hey, we are coming after you physically. No, we want to have a debate with the politician. They have been hiding from us. You can't have a conversation with your elected politicians. We have been sending emails. We have been phoning. No one is talking to us. You can't go and see an MLA. You can't go and see the premier. You can't see your mayor or councillor. They're hiding. So what we did, we showed them, hey, we want to start a debate. You're hiding, we know where you live, and we will force you to have that debate. And I think they got the message. They're terrified. I'm telling you, we got them, people. We got them on the run. Keep chasing the hyenas.
They are very much reacting with these arrests with no basis, with all this like a wounded animal.
That's right.
And I think we have them on the ropes, hopefully, and hopefully this will be over soon. Final word to you, Pastor Arthur.
Please do not forget the names. Please do not forget who they are, because I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to act as the heroes, or we're going to give you all your freedoms back, because I am Adolf Kenny, and I am willing to give you back your rights. Do not be fooled. Those scorpions did that to you in the first place. Remember their names. When we get our power back, we have to make them accountable for all the evil they have done against their own people.
And one final question, if you don't mind. I think we have crossed the line. Throughout the past 2 years, there have been people who were maybe on the wrong side, maybe even politicians who started to come over. Now the tide has changed. I think it's too late for politicians to pretend they've been on the right side this whole time.
Listen, we got thousands of people, 5, 6, 7,000 people today. There's not one politician, not one. Excuse me, where are you? Where are the politicians that should represent us? They have plenty of politicians that represent the left, the mandates, the restrictions, the totalitarian regime. We got a lot of Adolf Hitlers and Goebbels and the Gestapo type of people. However, where are the politicians that represent us? Nowhere to be found. Remember that. Please, Canadians, do not forget that they have not came to your aid when you needed them the most. Remember who was with you all the way and who was not. That's very important to remember the history. In order to build or rebuild a better society, we have to remember who was hurting our children, our families, our businesses, our churches for the past 2 years.
Well, these marches continue to make their way through the streets of the city week after week, and they will continue to. It's almost as if it is one ongoing, perpetual march through the streets of the city demanding our freedoms, and they will continue and continue and continue until we have our freedom back. For everyone out there watching at home, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. For Rebel News, I'm Adam Soos. If you agree with the thousands of people gathered behind me that vaccine mandates violate Canadians' fundamental rights and are fundamentally un-Canadian, you can help us fight back by going to fightvaccinepassports.com. Any donations you make there go to the Democracy Fund, a registered charity, so you'll receive a tax receipt for your contribution to the fight for freedom.